Hello guys, welcome to my first Advanced Discipline Priest TVC guide. Today we're gonna be talking about races, talents, macros, add-ons, how to play defensive, offensive, how I do damage, how to use Shadow Fiend properly, how to heal properly, how to survive against cliffs, the ranking spells, mana management, how to fight certain comps, win and lose conditions, and some tips and tricks that I hope you guys can learn from this. And without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, talking about races, you have pretty much three options. For Horde, you can be Undead Priest or you can be a Troll Priest. The reason because of it is because the ratios they provide, right? So Widow Forsaken for Undead Priest is so OP. You wanna be Undead mainly as a priest on Horde, because only the fact that you have Widow the Forsaken will help you a lot against teams that have fears or fighting another priest. Having just Widow Forsaken will be a game change in your gameplay, right? Also, like Touch of Weakness and Devouring Play, they're really good. Devouring Play is a dot that requires a lot of mana who's max rank. You always wanna combo this with the Inner Focus if you have it, pretty much all the time. And Touch of Weakness, it's a really good spell to reduce melee attacks from the melees, and also can be used as a buff protection that I will explain later on. Also, you want to be a troll priest if you play comps where your partners doesn't have motor strike effects. Let's say you play with a mage and a warlock, you want to be a troll priest for 3v3 because you will provide heads of weakness, which will provide the motor strike effect, and along by just having this spell or this ratio in your composition will increase the win ratio of your comp, because not having motor strike in PvP is such a weakness these days, especially in TVC. For Alliance, the only race you should be looking for, and is because for PP scenarios is the best, because you have Stormform, you have Desperate Player, and you have Chastise. These three spells alone, they're the best for PP for Priest. The reason why is because Stormform can be used to get out of potions. You can get literally out of one potion stacks, 5 stacks, and you can get out of like disease effects as well. Also provides you increase of armor against cleaves. Like having Desperate Player is so insane because this Desperate Player match rank, it will help for a lot, and have it Chastise for offensively and defensive. Like you can make so many plays using Chastise. You can either use Chastise rank 1 to just slow targets, you can use Chastise max rank to do damage, or you can also use Chastise to like do some tricky stuff. Like let's say for example a priest facing a resto druid, you can use Chastise on the druid whenever they use a global, and they cannot shape shit out for like I don't know how many seconds, but I know a really good friend that does this a lot to get fears on druid. So pretty much you time out the Chastise whenever they use a global, and they cannot shape shift out, and you can get you can land a fear on them for sure. Okay, guys, talking about talents, I think talents are really depending on the person, because personally I change my talents a lot. Each week I try to do new stuff and try to like test it out stuff, but I will try to help you guys to figure out what's the best for Horde or Alliance, and what I think why they work and why they wouldn't work in my opinion, right? So first of all, we want to build a basic build where you run Breakable Will, you want to run 5 Silent Resolve, you want to run 3 Improved Power Shield, um, obviously inner focus, meditation is such a great talent, 3 points on absolution, it helps a lot with the dispels, especially my gameplay. I play super offensive, I use dispel a lot. I wanna get 5 points of mental agility, mana burn, 5 points of mental strength, 1 point of divine spirit, 1 point of power infusion, focus will is such a great talent, you always wanna have 3 of these, because these will help you out to survive a lot. And reflective shield talent is such a great talent. I think back in the day you used to don't use this talent, but it's so good right now in this current meta. Obviously, one pains up. You wanna have improved renew always, because as a priest you wanna heal a lot with renew. This is your best healing. 100% you wanna have healing focus. Here, depending of your horde alliance, if you're horde, I recommend always going to spell guardian. if you're an Ions and you're dwarfed, you can be more greedy and go for Divine Fury. I think it's totally okay because of all the stuff you have as a dwarf to survive, so you actually don't need this, and you can run this for greater heals. You wanna Holy Nova, and you wanna have 1 point of Blessed Recovery for buff protections. And we're like building a basic build right now that will help you out, like twos and trees. I guess the basic and the most basic talents will be like this, right? And I think there's these talents are what most people use overall. This is the most generic priest talents you can have. I have played so many different ways. I have played Blackout. I have played Improved Psychic Stream and Deep into Silence. I have played Inner Fire, Improve Inner Fire a lot as well. I don't think, in my opinion, I think improving the fire is not worth it because the values, whenever you have 3 of these points, 30% increase armor and danger focus, whenever you do the math, it's not worth to have. If anything, you want to have Enlightenment, is way better value because it increase 3 of your stats, increase your stamina, intellect, and spirit, right? So, what I recommend, you know, guys don't have to do this, but this is based on my experience and what I have tested out a lot and what I like the most. And this is my current build right now in PVC. Um, so basically, what I did is like I don't run marathon. I don't run 2 points on focus power. And what I do with these talents that I'm missing, I just put everything on alignment. And I'm running this current build. Why is this? It's because, in my opinion, I play a lot of 2v2s. I don't think I need marathon for 2s. I think for 3s is fine, but also I don't run it for 3s. I play a lot of 3s as well. I have played in a lot of 3s teams where we are at range on all of them. And I have never had the issue not having like this talent making the difference. To be honest, talents are not gonna make the huge difference, but it all depends how you play and how you wanna play, right? Also, I know people from horror priests that they don't like running Spell Guardian and they actually like Divine Fury. But in my opinion, I don't think you need Divine Fury because you only want this talent to increase your to reduce the cast time of your greater heal, right? But it's so rarely that you actually land a greater heal in arenas. Obviously, you want to be efficient. You do want to heal with greater heal instead of flash heal. But as an Undead Priest, since I am Horde, I feel so squishy not having a Spell Guardian because I get into the scenarios that they want to hit me a lot, and actually this 10% have saved me so many times. Also, I used to don't run Blessed Recovery, but I think like it's necessary because it procs a lot and just like an extra buff protection to have. In my opinion, if you play trees, I guess you can take 1 point off here and put it here. So you have fast MD or 3v3, especially when if you play like RMP or you play against mages, so you can get the Ice Look instant. Since I play a lot of twos, I got like this, right? It's all dependent on how you like the most and how you feel more comfy. In my opinion, I feel the most comfy with these talents. I think, in my opinion, they're the best for me, at least, because I have played so many different times where I run different stuff and I have tried them all of them. But yeah, if anything, just mess around with your talents. Just play whatever you feel is the best for you. What comps you play as well, you gotta ask yourself if you really need Blackout Stun. If you play, let's say for example, you play Troll Priest and you wanna play MLP, Mage Lock Priest, you can play Blackout Stun. I recommend like taking some points off of alignment and put it on here, and maybe like you don't need Blessed Recover as well. You can put it like here, or yeah, you don't really need like an alignment, I guess, if you're on Black Ops, and then you can put this talent off and put it here, right? So you can like run like this, for example. But yeah, I think talents are more depending on the person that is playing and how you feel more confident. Okay, talking about macros, boys. I think the most important macros for a priest, or at least from my experience or how I like to heal, is having most over macros. Which, as you can see here, for example, this first macro that I have on my specific macros, I have a macro to bind heal with mouse over, which basically what it does, or let's see, for example, this one, flash heal. What it does is like I don't have to target to heal. Let's say for example I just put the mouse over on top of the nameplate and I cast a spell and it will heal the target, right? So I highly recommend having mouse over macros. All of my macros will be on my in the chat, in the comment section. I will post all my macros right there so you guys can grab them. So let's go let's just go into my macros, right? So first macro is Bunny Hill Solver, like explained before, is really good. So dispels macros. I have a lot of dispel macros. Um, I think they're really important. Like I have a dispel macro like Solver as well. So I can like do the same like on my party frames. I can just like dispel Solver. I also have like dispel party 1, dispel party 2, which is easier. I have dispel to myself whenever this is really important because sometimes you don't have like every microsecond matters, right? Especially this macro itself, like against mages, is huge because you wanna be smashing this ball yourself whenever you get Nova, because they usually wanna like Nova CS you, and if you smash this ball yourself and you get the Nova before you get blanket CS, they won't be able to ship it because you most likely will be able to like land the ship, right? So it's really important to have this macro right here, dispel self for you. Um, this one is just like a disposal focus whenever like I'm targeting and like I'm doing a bunch of stuff. I just have to focus target and I dispose with that. Free word, I have a mouse over free word so I can like quick like give free word to my partners as well. Mouse over flash heal, ready heal, my strong ready heal, mouse over. I have a rank 2 mouse over ready heal. I will explain later in the downground section why I have this. I have a heal. I actually don't use this one because I don't use heal. I don't think it's worth it. I have my control self focus. I don't use this macro at all in TVC because not that huge. It's like SMC is just really like so weird and it's such a long cast, so I don't use it anymore. I had PI most over. I used to have Bengal into it, but I don't anymore. Especially because I use earring now, and the reason because of it I don't use it together is because I was playing this in the mana efficient as well, how to be mana efficient and how to like save mana. I think it's worth it to like save earring whenever you don't use global, so you get the maximum value of it, right? With the 5 second rule that I will be talking about later on as well. Okay, Palm is the same as well, like mouse over. I highly recommend having mouse over for healing. It will just simplify your guys' life and it's way easier, in my opinion. Also, like renew, mouse over, shadowfin. Okay, this shadowfin macro is important because okay, you actually don't need to have pet aggressive or cast shadow crawl. This is for Wrath of the Lich King, I believe so, but you need to have pet attack into your macro. Why is this? It's because whenever you shadow fin, and I will be explaining this also later on, and whenever you shadow fin and you wanna swap the target, like you just press the same macro and it will change the target. You see, you can change the macros. This is really important. I will be explaining this in the shadow fin section, but you need to have this macro 100%. Okay, guys. Also another macro is my shield is for like mouse over as well. The shadow word macro, this macro, a lot of people ask me for this macro. It's really huge. This one is the so basically what it does, it will shadow whenever I press it, it will shadow word death the nearest target next to me, and this is really important for like deathing the ships fast enough. The only thing you have to consider using this macro is like, for example, you trying to death a mage ship and the mage doesn't have a shield up, right? And it will death the mage. You gotta be careful because in that case, a scenario, if the mage is next to you, it will death the mage and it will only push back the cast from the mage whenever he takes damage because he doesn't have a shield and you won't actually land the death on the ship, if that makes sense. You gotta make sure the mage have a shield in order to don't push back his cast or do it at 99% of the cast so you actually secure the death. Also, another thing is like if you death like a totem, and you insta kill it, you won't be able to like take damage back. You just gotta be careful using this macro because it's really huge, but it have like downsides if you don't pay attention, right? So in those cases, I recommend just use Shadow Word Death if you are if you're not if you're not sure like if you actually like your Shadow Word the macro will work. It's actually really huge to use this macro to Shadow Word Death blinds. It's how I Shadow Word Death most of the blinds using this macro right here. It will be listed in my macro section in my comments, so you guys can grab it. So another macro that I have, this is most likely to target pets because I don't know why my party frames always bugs on my party frames, like the pets. I cannot see the pets, or actually whenever I click on them, it have an error for me. So I just have a separate macro thread. And this one is just accept auto trade. It's nothing big. This one, it's called. It was for Shatter Breeze because I was playing Shatter Breeze. Mana burn set focus. I think this is really important to have because sometimes, like for example, like on twos for the PR mirrors, right? Like you're doing a bunch of stuff and you wanna like have a set focus mana burn 100% because it will help you a lot to get mana burns. Trust me, this macro on it's so simple but it's huge. Um, Cookie, this is just a macro to like whenever you play with a warlock, you make sure you have all the cookies in one macro. DP, I have DP in a macro because you always want to inner focus for DP most likely, and if you don't, like if you don't have inner focus, it's super weird. You use it. It's super like situational because DP is your spell that requires the most mana. It's 1030 mana, so you always want to use DP with inner focus. Okay, this was just a trick macro that I had whenever I used to play with a mage. It's not a big deal. Fewer Fin. Okay, this macro alone will help you a lot because whenever you face warriors, you wanna make sure 100% listen to me, guys. You gotta make sure you Fin you fewer your pet, your shadow Fin, because if you don't fewer your pet and the warrior have a fear, or let's say for example a priest have a fear or a warlock have a fear and you don't fear your shadow fin, it will just get feared and you will get any value of your shadow fin. So having this macro is really important, boys. Have it 100%, okay? Fear self also because like sometimes like I my mouse like it's so hard to like target myself or like to get the fever up on myself or like a lot of stuff is happening, so I just fever myself with this macro, right? This macro is important as well. This one is just to focus arena 1 to 3 macros. Uh, this one are for my frames. This macro allows me to move these frames here. You guys can see. This one is to put me in the like the macro says, and I am so I can make sure I am in the last of the frames on my party frame. So my party macros actually work because otherwise it will be always I won't be last and it will be like always random, right? So having this macro for party frames disposed is really huge. This one used to be a macro that I had to. I actually don't use this macro at all anymore. I was terminated. Why? So basically, what it does, it starts my weapon, my Last Justice, my PV stuff, right? So I can have MP5. But since I have my staff now, I don't use it anymore. This one is important because it's to sub my weapon, my mace, my weapon, my Helen Alpha, and my one, but have the Cancelara Flea on it because that's how I Cancelara my chicken that I will explain in a second. This one, my control arena 2 is not necessary, like I explained before. Same as this, it's just a social to be PIMS, pin suppression macro with my control. Um, this one the same for my control arena 1. This is more like retail macros. This one nameplate, I think you need to have this name. I think you can have it with the macros, with an add-on as well, but like I do it like with the script. So basically, like I can see my nameplates from far. 41, the months. PI myself, I think this one is important as well. I used to have Bengal into it. I don't use Bengal anymore because I use Erin. And I used to use Bengal with my PI so I can stun perch and get the maximum value of my mana region while casting. But since I have Erin and I will explain this later on, why it's more important to don't use it like with PI, so you can get the maximum value of it. This one is just a renew rank 1 mouse over macro, so I can like buff protection. I use it for like buff protection. I will be explaining this on my down ranking section. This is a Shadow Priest macros, our Silence Arena 123, Silence Focus. Okay, this one is Cool Cancel. I used to have it like in different keybind, but now I have it on whenever I swap to my main weapons, so I have it here. So actually you don't need this one. A Skull of Doom as well, like I used to have like a different macro to just equip my Skull of Doom with my weapons, but I actually just have a different keybind here to put my Skull of Doom because it's just a more easy keybind to press in my opinion that I used to have, so I actually remember and it's easier for me, right? And then I just go back to my normal hand and off fan, and I will just leave my hand Skull of Dome so I can explain this later. My Spear Staff, this is how I change my Spear Staff for the MP5. So I press it and it just runs to my staff with my 20 spirit on it. I always change to my staff whenever I need get some ticks on MP5 or I'm actually warm. So I actually like swap a lot in my weapons a lot. Depending, I will be explaining this later why I do this a lot. But it's really important to have this macro voice and have like the Cancelador affiliate because whenever you use chicken, um, I will just let my chicken go on CD so I can explain this real quick, okay? And then I have my target arena 1, target arena 2, and target arena 3 macros so I can actually macro it and target people. I think there is an add-on that can does this for you so they show up here in your keybind section. But since I was lazy, I didn't download that add-on. I just create these add-ons, right? And then this one macro is just like to, so I don't have to be changing my one to my spell book on my bars. I mean, so I just have a macro for anyone can work for it, right? So yeah, explain about the chicken. Let's say, for example, I have a chicken right now. For those who doesn't know what the chicken does or what does Skull of Dependent Doom does, it's an item that whenever you press it, you will get increased speed by 60% and you will take damage, but you will lose mana. The reason you want to have this item is really important and everyone should have it. I don't know why it's allowed in arenas. It's because it helps it you use this to break CC, especially whenever you face mages, you fight mages. Whenever you get Nova counter spell, blanket CS, I mean, you cannot move. Literally, like stuck like this, right? You for like 3 seconds, 4 seconds, you cannot move or do anything. You cannot dash the ship, right? So that's why you gotta have your Skull of Doom Independent Doom up, and whenever that is happening, you just press it. You have this buff. You get flee. You see, you take damage, but my mana drains, and I take damage as well. And then you just swap weapons and cancels the flee effect whenever you got out of the ship and you just swap weapons again and you go again. That's why I have those macros to swap weapons, right? And that's it. Those all my macros, and I will be explaining all the stuff that I said on the other sections. Okay. Okay, talking about add-ons, boys. I will recommend use the less add-ons that you guys can. Just use the add-ons that are really needed for Arena. I will be explaining which one are they. So, advanced interface add-on options. I think this add-on is really important because it allows you to mess around with some settings, like for example, max camera distance, and you can move some stuff right here. Like it includes the lag torrents, which is really huge. So here in lag torrents, you guys gotta make sure you move this because for default, the game will have it on value of 400, which means you will have 400 millisecond to your spells to react. So how you need to get this number is like you just go here and look at your latency and you wanna put it something above like 60 to 80 to what you actually have. It really depends. You gotta test it out, but I really recommend moving this because you don't need to play with a 400 because you will have like a delay in your spells if you have it on 400 because is what Blizzard have from default. um you can like mess around here with this add-on. It's really important and you can do the the nameplate thingy that you move some values in here. I can't remember how I did it, but all of my add-ons profiles will be shared on my comment section, on my description. I mean, sorry about that. I will have my profiles there to all my add-ons. So don't worry, guys. If you guys want my profiles, you guys will have it on my description section. Okay. Big debuffs, really important add-on to have for PvP. This add-on will allow you to see all the stuff like, for example, if someone is fear, or um, it will show in the nameplate as well their fear. You see, it pops the fear right there. Or if I have dot, or, no, it doesn't show up the dots as the gladi, but it will show all the crowns you see do you have on the nameplate. It's really, this add-on is really important to have. Okay. Bottom forge, I get asked a lot how I get this extra bars. So it's with this add-on bottom forge. I recommend that a lot. Details, really important add-on to keep track of your healing damage, all the stuff. Is not important for PvP, but it definitely helps a lot. Diminution options is really important in my opinion, because this allows me to keep track of the DRs. Let's say, for example, a stun DRs and ship DRs or sap DRs. All about DRs, I track it in here, so I can see if actually, like, if a mage already shipped me 3 times, he wants to ship me, like how close I am to be out of the air so I can get ship again. So it's really important to keep track of it. You can also track for your partners, but I don't do that. I just do it for myself. Um, Another add-on that is really important to have as a priest, in my opinion, is this little baby right here. 5-second rule is called. So this add-on is literally like this bar that you see here. It will show you when you get the tick of the 5-second rule. Because how 5-second rule, I will explain this on the mana efficient section. You can be tracking with this add-on the 5-second rule here, and when it's actually gonna start ticking, you see. And then whenever it completes, you get mana here, you see. So it's really important to have, I think. Gladi, the most broken add-on you can have for PvP. It really, Gladi is the most complete add-on they have ever created, because it shows everything, right? It shows the Rs, it shows the enemies frames, it shows pets, it shows on the nameplates, enemy nameplates, it will show stuff as well. The cast bars is the best add-on you can have. I will share my profiles in the my comment section. Again, it's on the comment section. It's on my details. You guys know what I'm saying, right? Okay, handy notes. You don't need this for PP. Heal bar classic. Okay, this add-on for priest, I think, is really important, because you see this bar that is showing up here, like the extra green bar here. It shows how much healing you will do, right? And it shows how much healing the target is getting. Also tracks the shield, so I recommend 100% to have this add-on. It also shows on the party frame if someone procs shit death, if someone have evasion up, it will show up in the party frame with this add-on. Lose control, you need this, because this will show if your CC in the middle of the screen, right? So have this add-on 100%, because it will show up in the middle of the screen if you're stunned, if you're fear, your CC, right? It will show up in the middle of your screen. It's really huge to have. Omnivar 100%. As you can see, my Omnivar is, I track my offensives, everything that can kick me here, and defensives, and I track in here, up here, row cities like preparation and banish. I think it's really important to have it. Again, you guys can download my profiles. Don't worry, guys. I will have this on my description. I think Omniver is huge. OmniCC as well. OmniCD to track your party frame CDs on your party frames, so you can track anything from them. You guys can add anything you want. I recommend don't go crazy to try to track everything. Just track the most important stuff, okay? Spell replay is just the add-on that shows here whenever I cast something. This is more for Twitch stuff, so you guys can see my globals. Another add-on that I recommend to have is this add-on called Align. So basically, what it does is whenever you slash type align, it will show these squares, so you guys can align you guys UI. Uh, so you can make sure you have everything in the middle on you have everything like coordinated to squares, right? So I have everything like set up like that, as you guys can see. um I have everything set up like that, like everything like from the middle. I work like that, so I can make sure I have awareness of everything like this. I think it's so important to have as well. Another add-on that I highly recommend is, and I think is the most broken one. It is called Wikaras. So with Wikaras, you can make so many things, and it's so broken because you can track a lot of stuff, right? As you guys can see, I can track my inner fire whenever it's about to fall. I can see how many stacks I have here. Best of Wrath against Beam Hunters, it will pop a horn and pops here that they use Best of Wrath. Enemy nameplate GCDs. This one is so broken, boys. This Wikara, it's so huge. What it actually does is like it will show up the globals of the people in their enemy nameplate. So this is really important for like trying to death line, so you can see rogue globals if they're not using globals whenever they nets to you, or a wired, so you can make sure you can, whenever you use Shadowfin, with this you can make sure you use the fin whenever they're in globals, so you can use fear on your pet and it doesn't get fear instant. This one is to track my Skull of Doom whenever I have it on. Uh, this one is to track water battle stance, if he's like in which stance he is. If he's like in defensive battle stance or berserker stance, I think it's really important to have as well. Also as wound, as this one that tracks my wound potion stacks, I think is really huge because you don't want to heal into a mortal strike effect. This one just to show up the MMR. And yeah, oh, actually, this one is the one that tracks the water instance, my bad. Enemy nameplate GCD. Yeah, I think I have two of them, but you guys get the point. Wikaras 100% recommended. You guys can have my Wikaras. I will be sharing them in the description, so you guys can have all these. I think if you guys have all these, you guys' experience in arena will increase a lot as a priest, because these Wikaras actually help a lot. Okay, how to play defensive and offensive. I think this is one of the most important things you gotta know as a priest. Uh, Priest is a class design where if you know how to play offensive, you're gonna help your teammates a lot. I played a bunch of twos. I don't play fives so much, and I do play threes a lot as well. And in every bracket, I am super offensive uh, player, right? I try to help my partners to end the game, which means every time that I play an arena mashup, you gotta always keep in mind that you have this spell called Dispel Magic that will help defensive and offensive like a lot. You gotta make sure you smash that button a lot because you wanna be purging everyone buffs, especially on the main target that you guys wanna kill. Let's say, for example, you're playing twos and you're playing DPR versus DPR. You wanna make sure you dispel the roll if you're hitting the roll or the priest to clean all the buffs, and whenever they put a shield on the target, you gotta make sure to dispel it instant. That's your work as a priest, right? And you gotta make sure you do damage as well on goes. I will be explaining how to do damage in the next section. But I highly recommend to play priest as a offensive hitter because it's the most effective way to play this hitter. Because if you play defensive, let's say like you wanna be a defensive player, priest is not really good into it because if you fall behind as a priest, in my opinion, it's most likely you're gonna lose the matchup. You always wanna be playing offensive. Obviously, always like taking care of your positioning because you don't wanna be like in the middle in the map and get swapped or like get freezes. You always be looking like for your positioning, have always like a bitterness to you, and if you push in and you want to be in the middle, you gotta make sure like, especially if you're undead, you gotta realize that you're super squishy. That's why I run this talent like Spell Garden. Also, if you're a Dwarf, you're like Kanimoto, because Dwarfs are super tanky. But trust me, your best tool tip to play Discipline Priest is to be offensive. Trust me on this, guys. If you guys play offensive as a priest, you guys will win most of the matchups. Exploit the fact that you have Dispel Magic, because Dispel Magic as an offensive spell is so broken. You gotta realize this, especially whenever you play against Resodrates. If you just smash this magic button, you will destroy Resodrates. Resodrates really a hard struggle to heal against me because I am super offensive with my dispels, and I dispel every hot on the target they wanna heal. Obviously depends of the situation, but whenever we have a goal or whenever we're doing a goal, I make sure the target's clean and ready to just kill him, and do damage on goals. That's my advice for you guys. Play offensive and not defensive as a priest because it's the best way to play arena matchups, and you guys will thank me later to play like this. Okay, how I do damage or how I think is the most efficient way to do damage as a discipline priest. I added this because I see a lot of people or a lot of priests that they like to use a smite to do damage. I personally never use a smite, especially because I don't run Divine Fury talent, and I think it's not efficient to cast a smite because it costs 385 mana, the rank 10 spell. The only way I do damage, especially in goals as a priest, is in certain ways, right? If I can cast Holy Fire before like this, like if you're like doing a setup, right? Let's say for example my rose saps a target and it's already clean and I have enough time to cast a Holy Fire, then yeah, I go for a Holy Fire, right? But you gotta make sure you can land it and you won't get interrupted, especially like in trees. If you like, I don't think in trees you're able to cast Holy Fire. It's most likely like in twos because it's more slow phase and small phase, and you can actually like set up better with it. But if you actually like cast it and land it, is the most efficient way to do damage because it does a lot of damage and cause is your less mana cost spell to do damage, right? So if you can cast Holy Fire, go for it. But if not, don't. My recommendations are the next ones. On goals, always make sure the target is clean. You're playing against a priest. Make sure that you dispel the shield, and literally like if you can, as on this priest, like you go with Shadow Word Pain, Inner Focus DP, and you cast Mind Blast and Shadow Word Death. And then what I do is I use one. I highly recommend to get this one. It's from the SSC, the raid. I think this one is one of the best ones you can get in season 2 because the fact that it's such I like it's so fast. Like the speed on it is 1.50 and it does like decent enough damage, right? So I basically like this is my ideal opener to do damage, right? If I can cast a Holy Fire, go for it, right? We set up, the target's clean. I double dot with DP, and then I cast Mind Blast, Shadow Protest, and then I use my wand. And then I literally just spam once, and like it's big damage. Trust me, boys. You guys don't have to go for smites. It's not efficient. Trust me on this. I see a lot of people cast a smite. It's super weird that I cast a smite. If you have this one, it's just better to use this one. Trust me, and you're gonna be like getting mana because the MP5 5-second rule is gonna be ticking while you're doing this, while you're doing damage. I think it's the best, efficient, and better way to do damage as a priest in arenas. Trust me, boys, on this one. Okay, how to use Shadowfin? I added this because I see a lot of people that don't understand fully how to get value of Shadowfin properly because there's a lot of ways your Shadowfin can get screw up and you won't get any value of it and you can like and like loosen a matchup because of it because it's your only spell that you can use to regen some mana back. Like let's say Druid have Innervate, you have Shadowfin, right? And both spells have a lot of CD, and you gotta make sure you get the most value of this spell whenever you play arenas. That's why I think it's really important to pay attention to Shadowfin section. The first thing I want to mention, Shadowfin will regen you mana back whenever it hits the target. Whenever the Shadow Fiend gets a mini attack on the target, it will regen mana back depending how much the Shadow Fiend hit the target, right? So you gotta make sure your Shadow Fiend sticks to the target you wanna get mana, and you gotta make sure your Shadow Fiend hits the target the most that he can, to get the mana that you want from it, right? So let's say for example, you Shadow Fiend a target in arena, but the target have a pre-shield. The Shadow Fiend won't do damage because the Shadow Fiend will like every mini attack will get absorbed. So that means the Shadow Fiend won't give you mana back. This is important because you need to realize that. So you don't wanna you wanna make sure you Shadow Fiend a target that doesn't have shield, and if he gets his shield, you gotta make sure you dispel it so your Shadow Fiend can do damage and you get mana back from it, right? Also, it works like the same as the mage shield. If you Shadow Fiend a mage, the Shadow Fiend won't do damage because it will hit the shield first and it will get absorbed. So that means like your Shadow won't get value. So you gotta pay attention to this stuff, okay? Also, another stuff that I mentioned before in the macro section is like whenever you face a warrior, a warlock, a priest, your Shadow Fiend can get fear. So that's why you gotta have this macro, fear your Fiend. So if you have fever and you need to Shadow Fiend, you gotta give fever to your Fiend if someone can fear it, just to make sure they don't mess around with it and you can get value of your Fiend. Another tip that I can give you guys is like if you play with a roll, this is like a tip that or trick that I can give you guys. If you play with a roll and your roll have exposed armor on the target and you use Shadow Fiend on the target that have exposed armor, your Shadow Fiend will do more damage to the target. It means like it will hit harder, which means that you will get more mana back. So if you play with a roll, a tip is to like use Shadow Fiend whenever your roll uses exposed armor in the target, and you will get the maximum mana value of it. But yeah, mainly just make sure whenever you use your Shadow Fiend, please just make sure the target doesn't have a shield. Your Shadow Fiend won't get fear, and if anything, you need to swap targets to the Shadow Fiend because you cannot get the shield or etc. That's why you gotta have this macro to pet attack another target, so whenever you press it, it will change the target. Especially like let's say for example in trees, you're like doing a setup that you have your Shadow Fiend and you will blind the target. You need to swap your Shadow Fiend to another target because otherwise it will break the CC, right? So this macro is important. Also, like to like make sure you don't use Shadow Fiend to do damage on ghosts. I don't think you use Shadow Fiend to do damage. You always gotta pry your Shadow Fiend to get the maximum value of mana region. It's really important to think it like that and just make sure you have this macro so you make sure like he's hitting this target and whatever reason you don't want to hit this target, you just swap the twin and with the macro and your fiend will like just swap targets. This is really important, okay boys? So have this macro, same as the feedward macro that I told you guys in the macro section, because this will help you a lot to have more value of your Shadow Fiends, and just make sure you guys keep in mind of the shield effect, that your Fiend won't attack the target or you won't do damage on shield targets and you will get any value mana back, okay? How to heal properly as a priest? I think you gotta make sure you always prior having Powerful Shield, Renew, and Palm. These three spells are your most effective way to heal targets. There are some games that you won't even cast heals. You can literally just heal with these three stuff. Um, the main recommendation that I give it to you guys is like Priest can heal through Mortal Strike. Priest is such a bad healer to heal through Mortal Strike, so you gotta always understand that, because if you try to heal a target with Mortal Strike or 5 wound stacks or the Hunter Mortal Strike, you won't be able to out heal that, okay? So, how you wanna heal against people that have Mortal Strike? Always prior to uh always like prior to like shield, renew, and palm. Obviously, like this can be purged, so you gotta make sure you protect your buffs with all your buffs that you have: fortitude, shadow protection, divine spirit, that you can give, and more more in the video I will be explaining how to like have spell protection, but you wanna like if this all of these get purged, you gotta use rank 1 buffs to protect your shield and renew, because that's your main healing as a priest. You gotta protect this buff and renew a lot. And how to heal the most efficient is with palm, because palm can be bouncing in your party frames, especially like if you play against comps that can like cleave or like do split damage, or if you play against warlocks, palm is your most efficient healing. But in terms of healing, let's say like you always wanna like cast ready heal is because it's more efficient, it's more healing per second, and it's more efficient to cast a ready heal. But you won't be able to get it all the time, right? So you gotta get the flash heals on the target. So my recommendation is in arenas, always pry pump, renew, and shields on targets. And if you get into the point that you gotta heal into Mortal Strike, it's really sketchy because you won't be able to heal through. So you gotta tell your partners to trade CDs. Let's say, for example, you play with a row and he have 5 wound stacks. And you don't have a proper way to heal him because he's like kind of low health, you can trade cloak to reset the wounds and then cast heals. You just make sure you cast heals in that window, top the target, and just play offensive. If you play with a mage and he have Mortal Strike, you don't have a way to top him. Um, Tell him to trade block to reset the Mortal Strike, and you cast a heal into it, and he should be fine with 1 heal. Um, is things like that. Priest is really bad healing into Mortal Strike effects. So whenever you're in the situation where you have to heal into it, you gotta make sure you can trade CDs for it. And if anything, just kite as well. Let's say, for example, I will explain this in the next section. Whenever you get in trained by cliffs, I will explain this in a bit. You gotta make sure you don't heal into the Mortal Strike. You gotta kite, and that way whenever you don't have the motorcycle won't potion up, you heal, right? And then if you can cast ready heal, go for it. If you don't go for it, just catch fast heals. Yeah, the most effective way to heal like that as a priest is like that. Like I explained before, it's better to be offensive player than offensive, because if you fall behind these situations where you have to heal through mortal strikes, priest really struggles into it. So you gotta always make sure you always keep on track on mortal strike, wound potions, and all the effects that can reduce your healing. Okay, so overall, how you wanna play against cliffs as a priest? I think like this is one of the main reasons a lot of people struggle is whenever you put a warrior into a priest or any type of cliff into the priest. I see a lot of people struggle with this, so I will try to explain the most um, careful, or what I think is the most important to know whenever you're fighting clips, right? So number one, if you're fighting a warrior in twos, let's say for example you're playing twos and you fight the warrior and the warrior just literally on top of you, you gotta make sure you have your shield uptime all the time and renew. These two are your main reasons that you're gonna survive. Always have the shield, because warriors struggle a lot whenever they have to hit a target with the shield because they don't regen rage during it. So always prior having the shield up and renew, right? And using palm, so whenever they cleave and your partner is next to you, it will palm bounce, right? So my main tip is like if you have Mortal Strike and you're like 50% health, and obviously like always keep the shield and renew up, but like you need to cast heals on you. Don't ever try to cast heals into the warrior with Mortal Strike up, because first of all, what is gonna happen? You won't be able to out heal his damage, because you won't be able to heal more than he does damage because of the Mortal Strike, right? And even if you like juke the cast and you can cast a kill and you spam heal, the only thing that is gonna happen is like you're gonna go so fast and you're just gonna drain all your mana and you're gonna just lose because of mana, right? So my main recommendation is just keep your shield up, renew, and you have Mortal Strike, you need to heal yourself. Just pillar, and just pillar kite the warrior. Ask for your partners to slow the warrior. Just pillar a lot. The warrior won't be able to catch you up. And whenever you don't have Motor Strike on you, you cast heals on you then. But not before it. You won't be able to heal through Motor Strike. Okay. Let's get into this scenario. You're playing trees and you're facing, let's say, for example, a Turboclip, right? You're facing an Hismin Shaman and a Warrior, right? That's the most disgusting thing you can fight again whenever you're playing Priest, because they have everything to kill you. They have the purges, and they have the damage, and they have the Motor Strike. So my main recommendation against Turboclip, which is a Hismin Shaman and Warrior, is like always make sure you can fear the shaman, kill the tremor so the shaman doesn't mess around with you, and just always like line the shaman if possible so you don't get spam purge, and when you can have your shield and renew pump uptime all the time, right? But that's when the thing that I told you guys to play offensive comes in handy, because if you play offensive with your team, you will be able to like spam purge and do damage, and they're gonna fall behind and they won't be able to train you, and you will just win because they won't be able to catch up with you, and you will just kill them before they can kill you, right? So that's one thing that you gotta play offensive as a priest, because that will help you a lot to play against clips. If you're playing twos and you have a roll on you, on top of you, let's say for example he opens with you sab, you get purge, you don't have bobs. Let's say for example in my case scenario, I'm playing a DPR versus DPR, right? Let's get that situation on. There's times they get the best opener ever. They find my role, they sub my role, and they open me, and they spam purge me. And I don't have any buffs, and the role opens me. So they have the best opener. They have 5 1 stacks on me. They have um, exposed armor on me, so I literally have no armor, and they dispel my inner fire, so I literally have negative armor. What I have to make sure is like I paint up myself, and I try to kite the rough while like let's say for example I'm like have no buffs. I try to rebuff myself, always line the priest so I don't get purged. I reply my inner fire, important, because then I can get some armor back. I renew shield pump, and I kite, and I wait for my roll to like open the roll, and then I just make sure I kite, and whenever I track the wound position. Whenever my wound position is about to fall, I cast a Gravity Heal, and I top myself, right? So that's one. Uh, let's say for example you're playing a Resto Shaman Warrior. All they wanna do is spam purge you, and the warrior will kill you so fast because he will get Wound Fury procs and he will destroy you, right? Especially because you won't have any buffs. It's the same thingy. You gotta make sure you line the shaman so you don't get purge. If you get the purge, you rank on buff to have a spells protection, inner fire, shield, renew, palm, and kite the warrior the most that you can. And whenever you don't have Motor Strike, you cast. But you don't cast into Motor Strike. You never ever want to cast into Motor Strike or 5 wounds a stack. Because Priest is so bad at healing it. You won't be able to heal it, and the only thing you're gonna accomplish is to wound yourself. So you gotta keep an eye on that. Always tracking Motor Strike effects and wound pushing effects. Okay? So yeah, that's my main recommendation to fight clips. I think like you cannot heal through Motor Strike ever, so if you ever have Motor Strike, make sure you have a way to escape into them. Ask for help and just heal whenever you don't have the 5 wounds or Motor Strike on you, because you won't be able to heal the damage. Okay, down ranking spells I think is one of my most excited parts that I wanted to explain you guys, because I think this is really important as a priest to understand. The rank for those who doesn't know what the ranking means, it's like literally like you grab a spell that it's like, let's say, Shadow Pain, and you will rank the spell to rank 1, let's say for example, right? So you rank the spell to rank 1. So as a priest, I think priest is one of the most uh, is one of the class that have the most spells to down rank, in my opinion, because you can do a lot of stuff with the ranking spells as a priest. I will explain in a bit. So let's say, for example, the main reason, okay, mainly the reason you want the rank spells as a priest is for your buffs mainly. So the reason because of it is, let's say, for example, you're playing an arena and you have all your buffs, right? You have your inner fire, touch of weakness, power shield. Word fortitude, divine spirit, shadow protection. Let's say you have fear ward and all your buffs, right? That you can start with. So, in arenas, it's most likely you will get purged and all your buffs will get like they will disappear, right? So, as a priest, like I explained before, priest revivals a lot on healing with shields, renews, and pumps. And if you cannot have this on your targets, you will hard struggle to heal. And you won't be able to heal against people that can purge your buffs, especially like they're training you, right? So that's where all the buffs comes in handy on the ranking stuff, right? Because you can then rank your divine spirit, so you can like put a rank one buff on yourself. You can do rank one fortitude. You can do literally every buff, right? You can have sharp protection, fortitude. You can have uh, shadow protection, divine spirit. You can also have inner fire rank one. You can also have touch of witness rank one. You can also have fade rank one. You can also have renew rank one, and you can do all this stuff to have. Look at this. All of these buffs are rank one, and they cost me like no mana, right? So this is important because now I can shield myself and I have all the buffs again. I can pump and I have all the buffs again. I can renew my strength renew and have all the buffs again. And they have to dispel me again to go through it, but I already have all the buffs, right? So that's one thing that is important to down rank is like down rank this spell. Okay, so rank one, fortitude is so efficient to do because it's so free. It costs no mana. Another spell that is so free to do is Inner Fire rank one. It costs 27 mana. Another buff that is so free. I actually see a lot. I actually don't see a lot of people doing it as an Undead Priest is Touch of Witness rank 1. It really, it's so free. It costs 22 mana. These three spells, Fortitude, Touch of Weakness, and Inner Fire. Okay, another one, it's rank 1 Renew. It costs 27 mana. And another one is Rare Fade. It's Fade, my bad. It only costs 36 mana. So keep in mind on those. Rank 1 Renew, rank 1 Fade, rank 1 Inner Fire, rank 1 Fortitude, and rank 1 Touch of weakness are the most free spells you can do whenever you want to buff yourself and you don't want to spend any mana on it. Because, yeah, you can do rank 1 Shadow Protection, but it costs 225 mana. You can do Divine Spirit, but it costs 225 mana, right? So they're not that free. They actually cost a little bit of mana, right? So my recommendation is you have no buffs and you want to rank one buff and you want to be the most efficient that you can. Always like do Fortitude, always do rank one Touch of Weakness, always do Inner Fire rank one, and always do Renew. And if you can fade, right? If you're getting purge and you need to have a shield on the target, right? Especially in you. So that's my main recommendation. And then you can also do like Divine Spirit and Shadow Protection. But trust me with these trick, boys. Whenever you're fighting in DPR mirrors, I Almana Lower Priest because they don't realize this because they spam purge me a lot. And what I do, I use my most free buffs, which is rank 1 Fortitude, like I explained before, rank 1 Inner Fire, rank 1 Touch of Weakness, rank 1 Renew, and I really have 1, 2, 3, 4, and Fade, 5 buffs for free that literally cost me no mana, and he will be spam purging me, it will cost you 274 mana. And I will literally just another piece because he will be purging this trash buff that doesn't do anything, and he will go so fast. That's a, a pro tip that I can give you guys, and I hope you guys put this in practice against another priest because it will literally like you will outplay them so hard by just doing this tip that I give you guys. Okay, another reason you wanna down rank spells is because you can down rank heals. Let's say, for example, I done ranked my Gravity Hill. I have a rank 1-7 Gravity Hill, and I have a rank 2 Gravity Hill. The reason because of it is because on PvE, guys, they recommend you to heal with Gravity Hill rank 2 a lot because it's the most efficient way. And I kind of like mix it up for PvP and kind of have the same uh, principle for it, and I actually use rank 1 to Gravity Heals whenever I know I don't have to heal that much and I want to be man efficient, right? So I use rank 2. Another that ranking for healing, I will say it's pretty much it. I think like you can, okay, another rank that is important is having Holy Nova match run and having Holy Nova rank 1 because you want to spam rank 1 Holy Novas to get people out of stealth. Also, let's say for example you want to get Rose out, you spam rank 1 Holy Nova. Always make sure you jump whenever you use it because it increases the range of it. I don't know if people still don't know this, but whenever you jump and you cast Holy Nova, it will increase the range of it. Also, I have the rank my fear because I have max rank in the bar. I have rank 1 in the bar. The reason because of it is for two reasons. There are sometimes in twos that I just want to fear two people or I want to fear one target or increase as well. So I use rank 1 because it only costs 90 mana instead of using the max rank that is 189 mana. I know it's not a big difference, but all of this, whenever you include in your gameplay, they make the difference. Trust me, in your mana, you will be al mana like you will be more mana efficient than other priests, and they will be boring, wondering why you have more mana, right? But it's just because you apply all these tricks that I'm teaching you guys. This is really important. Like, I hope you guys are learning from this. Another reason I want to have rank 1 fear is because there are some times that you're literally so and you don't even have mana to fear, so you use rank 1 and you actually just can survive because of it, because you have rank 1 fear in your bar, so you can actually press it, right? So another down rank spell that I have, um, I think, Shadow Word Pain. I think Shadow Word Pain is really important to have a rank 1 spell in your bars because you wanna keep people in combat with rank 1 Shadow Word Pain, or let's say, for example, you wanna keep a roll for non-stealthing, or he like just to keep people in combat, you use rank 1. Especially if you play Blackout Stun build, you can proc the Blackout by spamming Shadow Word Pain rank 1. I think that's the most efficient way to do it. And you can do a lot of stuff with rank 1 Shadow Word Pain. So keep it, always have this in your bars, rank 1 Shadow Word Pain, okay? Like I mentioned before, I use rank 1 Renewing to buff protection to protect my shield. I think that's it for the ranking spells. But yeah, mainly the buff protections that I told you, the most efficient ones that I told you guys. I see a lot of people don't even use rank 1 in their fire and rank 1 touch of weakness if they're a horde. And trust me, for these buffs to protect yourself, they're really huge. They can be really useful, especially like the things that I mentioned before. And this is really important to you guys to understand, and I hope you guys learn from this a lot. Okay, mana management. I think this is really important to understand as a priest. I highly recommend having this add-on that I recommend you guys in the add-on section. The one with the 5-second rule, because this add-on alone will help you a lot to be more mana efficient or to just keep track of your 5-second rule. Because as a hitter, on TBC at least, like knowing when you're getting a tick of your MP5, it's huge. So what I can explain here on mana management is, first of all, since I have a game style that I play super aggressive and I use a lot of my mana to purge people. Always remind that you can use PI, Power Infusion, to reduce the mana cost of your spells, right? So that way you can be more efficient on it. Also, know as a priest that how much mana each spell costs. Like just knowing how much mana your spell costs, you will have a better um, decision making. You will be better at decision making whenever you have to use your spells, right? That's why I explained on the ranking spells which ones were the most efficient way to buff because they were the most less cost mana spells. Like Power Word Fortitude is literally like a free buff. Uh, I will recommend to learn like literally like know how much mana each spell costs. It will help you a lot. Because let's say for example, Power Word Shield costs for 540 mana. In my opinion, is a expensive spell, same as Ready Heal. So Ready Heal costs a lot of mana, Renew costs 105 mana. Just knowing how much mana cost your spells, right? Like Holy Nova is expensive spell, so you're gonna be like spamming Holy Novas because you will go home. Mass spell costs a lot of mana. It costs what 734 34 mana, and Holy Nova is more expensive, so you gotta make sure you know how much mana your spell costs. Same as DP. DP is your spell that costs the most mana. So knowing how much mana your spells actually cost will help you a lot. Because I know a lot of people don't realize this, and it's actually important. In the comments in the section that I said how to play offensive, I recommend to use a lot of Mind Blast to do damage on Shadow Word Death. You gotta keep in mind that Mind Blast costs 450 mana, right? So Mind Blast is an expensive spell that you gotta realize that you will be losing a lot of mana whenever you use Mind Blast. Shadow Word Death is cheap. Um, yeah, like just knowing how much mana your stuff costs is important. Also, like the 5 second rule, like explained before, whenever you cast a spell, there's gonna be 5 seconds where if you don't cast another global, you will see this gray bar that will start ticking, and that's when you reach your mana, right? So whenever you play in arenas and you're like kind of struggling with the mana, you gotta make sure you keep track on it on this bar, so you don't use globals, and you can get some ticks of mana and get some mana back with your MP5, right? You gotta understand as well that you're ranging mana while casting and while not casting. So let's say for example, whenever you're uh, not casting, at least for me right now, I regen 293 mana, right? So whenever I cast a spell and I 5 seconds, right? I wait 5 seconds, and then this gray cast bar ends. I will regen 293 mana because I'm not using a single spell, right? And if I'm casting spells, I will be getting 132 mana every 5 seconds while casting while I use stuff, right? So it's less value. You always wanna like get some ticks of mana regen MP5 while not casting, and this is why this add-on is important, because you can actually know when to use globals or not, especially like whenever you swap your stuff and you want to get value of your spirit. You see now I have 383 mana region every 5 seconds when I don't do any global. I just wait for my add-on to tell me. I always keep an eye on this, like even on arenas, because that way I can regen some mana, especially when I'm struggling with mana. I just make sure I look at this add-on, and I will be regenerating like 383 mana. Another tip that I can give you guys as a priest with season 2 is whenever you use Earring of the Soulful Meditation, is to get the most value of it whenever you are not using globals. So whenever you want to press this trinket is whenever you don't cast globals, because you see now I have 710 mana region every 5 seconds whenever I use global, and whenever I just wait my MP5, my 5 second rule to do his work, right? So I recommend to use this trinket whenever you know that you won't be using globals, and if you have to use globals, just try to hold like at least one global, or you get a MP5 tick, and then you will regen 700, and it was 783 mana, I believe, so that I had. So yeah, that's how you are mana efficient as a priest, and just knowing how much your spell costs is really important. And yeah, that's it. Okay, to end this video, we're gonna talk about some tips and tricks that I wanna mention that I haven't mentioned in the guide. They're not that crazy, but I still think a lot of people don't know about it. So one tip and trick I will mention that is important to know as a priest is how to bounce your palm whenever uh, you like. Let's say for example you're facing a warlock and the warlock is only targeting one target. He's only dotting one target. Let's say for example you're playing twos, right? And you're facing a priest warlock and you're playing DPR, right? So the warlock is only dotting one target. Let's say for example the warlock is only dotting your row, and you wanna be efficient at healing. What you can do, or what one trick you can do, is like you give palm to your row. Your row will take damage, so the palm is gonna bounce to you. But since you're not taking damage, the palm is not gonna bounce back, right? So you can make the pounds back, the pounds get back into your row if you press Shadow or Death, because you will take damage. As you can see, the palm go off, and it will bounce back to your row. So that means like he will take damage and it will bounce back to you again, and then you use Shadow or Death again, it will bounce back to your row. So you can like keep bouncing your palm in those cases where, let's say for example, is the most efficient way to do it against warlocks whenever they just like single target DPS someone and you really want to be efficient, and it's a super good way to heal, right? Also, another trick that I can give you guys, if you play with a warlock, it can be in twos or threes and you're getting trained, and what you can do with the warlock is like you palm yourself, right? It will tick and it will bounce to the nearest target that is taking damage. So you tell your warlock to hellfire. So he hellfires and he will be taking damage. That means that your palm is gonna be bouncing to him, and then it's gonna go back to you because you're taking damage, and then he's back to him because he's taking damage with hellfire, and then he's gonna bounce back to you. So you really will heal 5 times for so much, because palm bouncing is the most efficient and broken hitting that a priest have if you can make it bounce. So you gotta realize it. Also, you can make palm bounce whenever, like, let's say for example, you're fighting a warrior druid, right? And let's say for example, your partner gets rooted and your warrior's on you, so you palm and you make sure you're close to the partner that is rooted, because the root does a little bit damage and the palm is gonna bounce between you guys. And another thing you gotta consider is like palm doesn't work if you're line of sight of the target. So let's say for example, your partner is here and you're here, right? But you palm here, your palm won't bounce into anyone because your partner is here and you will be land on side. You gotta make sure you are in line with your partners and there's like no pillars in between you guys, because otherwise the palm won't bounce. And I see a lot of priests make these mistakes because they don't realize that. So yeah, always relies on palm bouncing as a priest, because it's your most efficient way to heal. Whenever you make it bounce, you will literally don't even have to heal the pound. The pounds alone will just heal alone everyone. So that's my best tip and advice that I can give you guys. Also, like all the stuff that I have mentioned before. I hope you guys learn a lot from my guide. It's the first time that I make a guide, and English is not my main language. So I hope you guys can understand that I kind of like hard struggle making this guide because of it. Also, like I literally share all the information and all the personal experience that I have. I play TVC Priest a lot. I enjoy this game a lot, and I just like literally like give you the best tips and advice that I can give you to you guys, so you guys can learn from me. Also, if I miss any information or any tip or anything like that, I will make sure I will post another guy with information that I missed. And yeah, I hope you guys learn a lot from my guide. If you guys made it this far, Make sure to give it a thumbs up to my video, share it to your friends, share it to your homies so they can learn, because I am pretty sure there's a lot of information you guys can learn from this video. And also subscribe to my channel because it helps me a lot. But yeah, without further ado, like I said before in the intro, yeah, I think that's my Prius guide. I tried to make it like the best that I could. Obviously, it's not perfect. I think I could have made it better, but I tried my best. And if anything, you guys can ask me in the comment sections whatever you guys think that I missed, or whatever you guys struggle most with. You can also join my Discord. I have a Discord server. I will be posting in the information of this video where you guys can just literally talk with me there, and I can answer any questions. But yeah, thank you for watching the video. I appreciate all the support in this channel, and I hope you guys learn from this first guide that I made. It's my first guide, so don't go hard on me, okay? See you guys in the next one.